So the streaming wars are over. No one won. We all lost because Disney and Warner Brothers and Hulu and Max, it's all teaming up. We're getting cable again, guys. They've invented cable. For God's sake.
For a lot more money.
Yeah. And Deadline's like, in a streaming milestone. No, in a cash grab. Disney, Warner Brothers, Discovery Team bundle featuring Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max.
I mean, we were all predicting this was going to happen.
Yeah, I've been saying this for years. The streaming was never going to take off. Everyone kept saying it was. Streaming's the future. Streaming's the future. Yeah, well, been vindicated on that, mate. So shut up. This is never going to take off. It was never, ever going to take off. It couldn't take off because it cannot generate the level of profit that a movie can. It was never going to work. So Disney and Warner Brothers Discovery are breaking ground in streaming with a bundled offering featuring Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max. The companies are aiming to launch the bundle this summer. The exact launch date and the price point have not yet been announced. They'll be extortionate. But plans call for both ad-free and ad-supported versions to be available. Why are you paying money for an advertised version? They're getting the money from the adverts. This is what I don't understand about Amazon Prime now. You have Prime, which you pay for. Now you get adverts. Sorry, what? And Netflix are like, we'll do a cheaper ad version. No, the ad version should be free because the ads pay for it.
Yep.
It's YouTube. YouTube's for free because the ads pay for it. Because you have to watch these laborious dog shit adverts all the time. About soap half the time, it seems. This is terrible. What do you think, guys? Culture, you wanted to chime in on this unless you've disappeared? No, he's disappeared. Tom, let's get your thoughts because you were trying to break ground.
I wish I knew more about what this was actually like. How is this going to look? Because I mean, we already have like Amazon where you can get a lot of these through your Amazon app already.
Yeah.
Right. And so like this is where my confusion comes in is it like where is this bundle or what does it consist of or how much is it going to cost? I mean, how is it any different than me just getting it through my Amazon, which is a lot more convenient? Right. I guess that's my bigger. Not that I know of. Maybe. I know Max had a hard ass time getting on Amazon to begin with, but then they finally did. And we all know already Hulu has now been it's on Disney Plus, so there's no. I mean, yes, you can have the separate Hulu, but it's same difference. So yeah, I mean, I'm curious to hear more about what Culture has to say because, like I said, I've been a little bit out of the loop on this one, and this kind of came out of nowhere. And what's funny is this happened the day after the earnings call, instead of before or something that wasn't announced during the earnings call. Because you would think that this is something, especially the way that Deadline's like presenting it here, you would think that this would have been something Bob would have brought out and said, "Look what we got here. You know, we're working with some of our biggest competitors to bring HBO Max, Disney Plus, and Hulu to the consumer in a way that it's never been done before, and making it sound like it's something amazing and special." Right. So again, I don't know enough about it to really comment too much more about it. I want to know more. I want to see what this is about. And just from what we're seeing here, I don't have enough to go by, but I'm really curious what Culture has to say about this because I'm sure he's been on top of it better than I definitely have.
Yeah. I mean, this was timed perfectly to fall between the two earnings calls between Disney's and Warner Brothers Discovery's. So when this news broke, it was done. Essentially, the decision was made jointly. Disney's still down to 105. That's probably likely to trend downwards. Down 6.78%. They supposedly lost over $20 billion in about 30 minutes of training on the biggest volume that they've done this year. Over 50 million. Yeah. And it had a little upsy daisy today, but I have a feeling that it's going to continue to head downward as we find out more and more of these things are just bad news. But going back to the Hulu, which still technically Disney doesn't own outright because they still haven't negotiated the last few $1 billion that they're going to have to cough up to Comcast. And if they piss off Comcast and Comcast decides to run the minute their contract is over with Disney, they won't have any additional content from Comcast to put up on Hulu. So, I mean, this was the worst deal you probably ever could have put together if you were Disney. But looking at what's been happening with Max, Warner Bros. Discovery has not been trending the right direction either of late. Today, did you bring up their stock price?
Huh?
Did you bring up Warner Bros. Discovery stock price?
No, but I'll get it.
Yeah, because it was this morning after the earnings came out, it was trending upwards. It was up 24 cents from the open, which was a 3% increase.
It's been a very good year.
Yeah. Well, they managed to pay down around $5 billion of the debt that they ended up with since they became that merged entity from the Reverse Morris Trust. But the trading on this stock is somewhere else, and this only traded in the volume of about 30 million shares today. So their average, let's get to it. Their average, excuse me. Oh nope, it traded identically. Excuse me. It traded at 51 million shares, and their average volume is 30 million. So that's insane. Yeah. Oh, anyway, Disney doesn't usually trade as much as you would think, as far as just around these activities like the proxy war and such. Regardless, stepping back, this combined entity does little more than put together basically a basic cable package with like a couple of premium streaming options like HBO and ESPN and the like. Again, this is the second time they would have partnered up because they're trying to do so in a sports effort as well. They're both basically in survival mode because both of them made terrible decisions to invest so heavily, so much money. Because it could be argued that, and Bo, this will be interesting your perspective. It could be argued that Disney spent $100 billion plus to acquire a streaming service because they purchased Fox primarily for their content catalog, but that came over with a lot of linear television stuff. And they also acquired all the elements of BAM tech so they could own the streaming technology itself, which cost them a load of money. And they spent about $60 billion just in content spend alone over the course of 2 years. And they have not yielded 1 cent of profit in streaming, whereas Warner Brothers Discovery has. Warner Brothers now, I think, if memory serves, and it was probably in the article, but they Max's Warner Brothers Discovery was I think $96 million profit in this last quarter.
Wow.
Yeah, they fell in other areas because of the strikes and other things, linear options, and because of lack of studio output. But you know what? They also had one of the biggest flops in video games this year. Suicide Squad. After having Harry Potter previously, which was incredibly successful with the Hogwarts Legacy game. So, I mean, there are a lot of factors that went into what happened with Max, but Max went the right direction this morning. Disney went the wrong way. So,
well, what do you reckon to this, Bo? Seeing the stock and stuff like that?
Yeah. So, is it that Disney and Warner Brothers is it just that their streaming services are
bundling it together?
Right. Okay. So, first of all, my first reaction to that, and other things, Hulu and stuff, I'm surprised there's not sort of some anti-monopoly laws need to be looked at there. But maybe I'm just way off the mark with that. I don't really know. But that was the first thing that crossed my mind. Anyway, beyond that, yeah, it's an object lesson in just absurdity, really, isn't it? Like you say, you end up with cable or something. I think it's interesting, particularly Warner Brothers, but both Disney and Warner Brothers are absolutely gigantic interests, aren't they? When you look at what they really are, I mean, Warner Brothers, like Warner Brothers Entertainment, it's a group, really, isn't it? It's more like a group. You know, there's the motion picture group, there's their television group, they've got like a games thing, they've got a streaming service. It's a giant corporation, or really more like a group, really, isn't it? And we all know how big Disney, and I mean any organization that can afford to spend, let alone lose, 100 billion. It's absolutely, it's monstrous, really, isn't it? It's a monstrous thing. Now, I'm the furthest thing you will find to a communist. I might describe myself as an anti-communist. I think the very concept of a command economy is a nonsense. However, it's difficult to avoid the conclusion that capitalism, in some senses, has built a monster like Disney or Warner Brothers. That the markets themselves build these absurd edifices with untold amounts of capital. 100 billion. I think I said last time I was on that, you know, the Channel Tunnel cost something like 15 billion. The space telescope cost 9 or 10 billion. You know, you hear the big numbers like Elon Musk is worth 50 billion, or Zuckerberg's worth 30 billion or something. And so you start getting used to the idea of tens of billions, or 50 billion here, 100 billion there. But no, wait, the real reality of these things is that it's a monstrous amount of capital. Now, if someone like Warner Brother or Disney have found themselves in this position, it only says that they've been disastrously mismanaged, and the people at the top making the decisions at the very, very top of their, you know, senior leadership teams, or whoever it is, whatever it is, even their money masters, their shareholders, you know, BlackRock or whatever, whoever it is, people should be held to account. Disney and Warner Brothers used to be something wholesome.
Yeah.
It used to be something good. It used to be something family orientated. It used to be something that was, at least you could argue, was a net positive for Western culture or even human civilization as a whole. Now they're not. No, now they're at odds with our culture and civilization. Agents of chaos looking to undermine it, very deliberately undermine it. So no, hopefully then they do lose out. You know, I won't shed a tear for Disney or Warner Brothers. Anyway, there you go.
No, I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, I love coming back to this. This is such a fascinating, turn of events. Just completely created. Bye-bye.
Well, what that is, that's not just like the individual person, like a little old lady who lives in Omaha, Nebraska, who's got like, $200 of Disney stock, has suddenly decided she wants out. That's market makers. That's like professional traders that have decided, they've made a professional risk management decision. And as a whole, as a block, you get this sort of the psychology of trading is quite often that you're always trying to catch the train that's going to be the next big thing, and the corollary of that, the opposite of that, is that you can't get off the train fast enough if you think it's about to crash, and that's what you see with things like that. That there's been some sort of, it's almost like the collective psychology is this is risky now. We could lose money now. Get rid of it, dump it. And our portfolios have got like holding large amounts of Disney. And suddenly, for whatever reason, it's always a very, very difficult, almost impossible thing to really put your finger on why and how these things happen. If people knew that, then you could always make money on the markets. But there's obviously been some sort of movement in on the markets to say just it's not a good idea to hold Disney right now.
This has all been.
All I can say is I won't shed a tear.
Because
Sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
this spiked because Nelson Peltz announced he was going to do the proxy fight, and you could just see it in time, like, oh yeah, cool. So Nelson Peltz wants board seats. The market responds positively to the idea of Nelson Peltz on the board. It keeps ramping up. Oh, he's getting some. Oh yeah, okay, cool. And then here, they announced that Bob Iger won the board seats, and then it's just been a complete decline ever since. Ever since then.
So it's just to say, look at that's a 6-month chart, right? So it looks like it's still the value is still inflated a bit. Can you click on the 5-year one?
Yeah.
Click on that. Let's have a look at that. Okay. So it's a bad few days, no doubt about that for it, or a bad day or two, but it's not actually in the territory of being in an existential threat. It's been lower only 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
So a bad few days. We'll see how the trends go. But can you go max? Actually, click on the max tab there. Let's see what we. All right. So it was obviously massively inflated in like what is that? Where the peak? Go to that peak there.
That was Bob
2021. Okay.
That was Bob Chapek.
So it's massively overinflated at that point, clearly, obviously. And I would say, looking at that chart, it probably still is. In other words, don't buy it. In other words, it's probably not a good idea to buy it. If you've got it and it's worth more than what you bought it for, it's not a bad idea to sell it. Yeah. Pretty straightforward.
We don't give financial advice here at Mr. H.
Yeah. I must say, I'm not a chartered financial analyst, so please don't take my advice.
Well, there you go, guys. We're getting cable again, and it doesn't seem to be helping Warner Brothers Discovery. It seems in terms of the market, no one really cares about Disney. So, but we're getting cable. So, hooray for cable again! We're getting cable again.
I'd like to also mention to Bo. You said something at the beginning. Fudge, remind me. It was whether or not there was an antitrust issue. I can't quote you directly. I'm sorry, but there should be, because there already was. The Justice Department already said that they were going to look at the sports streaming service, that the joint venture already. So
did not know that.
Yeah, and so I can't imagine they won't look at this as well. So.
Yeah, with monopoly laws, or as the Americans say, trust laws, antitrust laws, there's always a cat and mouse game. There has always really been a sort of arms race between legislation trying to stop giant monopolies from occurring, and moneyed interests finding loopholes to get around it. Go back to the classic Standard Oil and J.D. Rockefeller. They say you can't own everything. You're not allowed to own everything. And we say, okay, and we're going to, by law, make it so you can't own all the railroads and all the steel industry and all the oil wells. You're not allowed to do it. It's like, okay, fine. I'm just going to create a whole different bunch of companies that do it then, and only in sort of an indirect way control all those interests. Right. So it might be that Congress take a look at this and even pass a law saying, you can't do it.
Yeah,
they'll find a way around it, and then it will, and so it goes. But yeah, that was my first thought. That was my first thought. That seems like there's just a monopoly then now, if they do that. But it might take Congress years to get around to actually breaking it up. Who knows? I don't know.
That is true. What we got now? We've got some super chats actually to get to real quick. So we got one from T Neil. Or two from T Neil says, but if I cancel the Disney Plus subscription I don't have, what will I play to make unwelcome guests leave the party? I won't throw in the mansion I don't own. I won't throw in the mansion I don't own. Mate, I don't know. That sounds like a winning formula already.
Yeah. You win.
And also remember, I don't know if any of you guys remember this, but Verizon actually offered a bundle that was even better than this just last year, that had Netflix, Max, Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN all for $20. So I've seen these bundles, you know, that they come and go, it seems like. And also, I don't know if you guys heard this news, but it's looking like TNT is going to be losing the NBA rights. And so Amazon, NBC, ESPN, ABC are all fighting to get that that NBA rights for the NBA season. So this could potentially be the last year that the NBA is on TNT. So if Amazon or if, you know, WWE just went to Netflix, you know, if this goes to ESPN, you know, I don't care anything about the NBA, but a lot of people out there still do. So who knows what's going to happen with that too. So it's going to be a huge shakeup here the next year.
Well, I'll ask
just real quick. Still got super chats. Hold on. T Neil says that's an awful lot of time, money, and damage committed only to wind up at an inferior iteration of the starting point.
Boom.
I am disappointed.
Yes.
There you go. What were we going to say, buddy? Quick, because
no, I thought it was. I thought the WWE only put one of their shows on Netflix exclusively, and they were moving the others to other options or potentially making separate deals with Netflix.
No, it's a huge thing over it because it's even live shows.
Right, I understand. I'm just saying. I thought they only did that for one of their primary live shows in their back catalog of content.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't care about wrestling.
You could be right, Culture. I thought Raw was Monday Night Raw was gonna always be on Netflix.
Yeah, I think that's the deal that they made. The other stuff, I think they left. The other live shows, I think they left.
Available
for other options.
Yeah.
And
we got